Hello, I'm a little bit early. I'm live, my first live on YouTube. I don't know if anybody can hear me or not. It'd be quite good to get some feedback. I'm a little bit early on YouTube. I'll move to the side here so you can see the Ardblair Stones logo there. So I'm a bit early, a couple of minutes. So I'm just setting up and making sure that everything's going to plan. I've been very kindly given the hi guys, nice to there's a couple of guys from India. You may be interested to know this, but the biggest following for the Ardblair Stones on YouTube, when I look at the analytics, are from India, which is a nice surprise. I wish I could speak Hindi, or I know there's various languages in India, and it's thanks for your support, India. Big thumbs up, thank you. Hi John, nice to see you online. It says Jay Martin. Oh yeah, is that hostile? Yeah, nice. Thanks for coming on board. I was a little bit early. I was just just making sure everything was sorted out. As you see, I've got this wonderful cafe. The internet reception at my house is pretty awful, so I've been very kindly. I have some friends, June and George, and they very kindly let me use their cafe to broadcast live. It'd be interesting. Am I coming across okay? Can you hear me? Can somebody type a comment in? I'm assuming that everything's fine. In India, this time is 7:30 p.m. Oh, great. Thanks, John. Oh, great. Thanks. Is it Pranav? Is that right? Thank you. I don't know what it is about India, how they've fantastic. Alessandro, thank you very much for that. Everything's fine. That's cool. That's a relief. So yeah, I was supposed to start at 3. I started a little bit early because this is my first ever live stream, and I want to get it right. And it's another person from India. My God, it's like oh, that's great. Thanks, Pranav. Yeah, I'm a bit early. Everything seems to be working fine. That's great. And I'm pleased to see that the comments seem to be working, and that's oh, thanks, Alessandro. Okay, great, thanks. So the reason I thought I'd do this live stream is because in the last month or so, there's been a lot of subscribers to the Ardblair Stones YouTube channel. I had more than 30,000 in a month, and I started the YouTube channel, I think it was in 2017 or thereabouts, and it's been doing fine. You know, it's doing all right. But then suddenly in this month, it just kept jumping and jumping and jumping, and I don't know what happened. It must have been analytics or something. I don't know how it worked, but it seemed to be doing really well. And thanks. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted here because there's always wonderful comments are coming up. But I'll just say what I'm doing here. So I was very so I feel like I ought to give something back. So in that time, in the space of a month, I've obviously got the 30,000 plus subscribers. So it means that I can now live stream. I can be monetized. I can do all these sorts of things. Hi Ganpat. I hope that's right. And so yeah, I wanted to give something back because I might as well explore these new avenues, and now this is open to me. This live stream is open to me, and I can do things, and it's sort of opened up more stuff, and I want to try and learn about it and make use of it. I had a bit of a disaster earlier in the week with this link because I was trying to learn about how live streams work and what software to use, and so I stupidly clicked on live stream at home, which first of all, it was a bad reception and the background was just awful, and I was kind of like looked terrible and I wasn't saying anything, and I realized what I'd done. I just deleted everything in a panic, but hopefully this is fine. So yes, I mean, I don't know if you guys are logged on. I don't know if it's because you've just seen a live stream and you want to comment and say stuff, or whether or not it's because you're interested in the Ardblair Stones and would like to know a little bit more about them and what's planned for next year. For those of you who don't know, who maybe you've just logged on to a live stream and are wondering what's going on, it's not immediately obvious from where I am now, but the Ardblair Stones are an event that we travel around Scotland. Hopefully next year. This year we were supposed to be traveling throughout Britain. Hopefully it'll be Britain next year. And it's 9 stones lifted onto barrels, and we go to various Highland games, which is a traditional thing in Scotland. You may have seen people throwing hammers and tossing the caber, and agricultural shows where sort of livestock and farm machinery, or just festivals. And they're quite popular, and we go around, and I'm very fortunate, the Ardblair Stones are very fortunate to be sponsored by Castlewater, who are a large company throughout the UK. Pranav, any plans coming to Delhi, India? I would love to come to Delhi, India. I really would. I think that would be great. If the Google Analytics or the YouTube Analytics are anything to go by, I think it would be a roaring success. I think the biggest following on Facebook is the United States of America, is the USA, and the biggest on YouTube is India. So it's interesting there. I'd have thought that most of the sort of fans or followers or subscribers would have been in the UK, but that's not actually the case. The trouble with coming to Delhi, it would be tricky. The thing about the Ardblair Stones is that there's only I'd have to get them to India, and they're heavy. There's a lot of them. There's 9 of them, and I just think it would be completely impractical. I'd love to do it. I would love to go to India. I've never been to India. I think for the time being, if you can possibly find your way over here, that would probably be the best solution at the moment. One other thing I've noticed on my live stream, I'm looking at myself. Shouldn't be doing that. I should be looking at the camera. So yeah, I will try and do that from now. So yeah, India would be great, but at the moment it's not practical really. And we're pretty busy this next year as well. Obviously with the COVID thing going on, it's thrown everything into disarray, and things have got a bit complicated. So I'd like to think these events will be on next year. They're booked, but obviously with government guidelines and World Health Organizations and things, you can never 100% be guaranteed that things are going to go ahead. So yeah, next year's, on the face of it, it's looking quite good. I've got 11 events booked so far. Now, if you want to see what those events are, then I would suggest you go to the Ardblair Stones website, which is uninspiringly www.ardblairstones.com, and there's an event section there, so that should give you a sense. Pranav has said thank you. Okay, hopefully that cleared that up, Pranav. One of the things I've got planned for next year, which I would quite like to do now, as a result of having all these subscribers, as I say, like more than 30,000 in a month, it has opened up another sort of line of monetization, which is great. So I'm hoping to put some of that towards being able to live stream events for next year. So those of you who've followed the YouTube channel, and you'll have seen lots of videos of people lifting the Ardblair Stones with various degrees of success. I'm planning on still doing that and having the format the same, but I also plan on having a camera set up to live stream the whole event. So I think that would be, oh, here's a comment from Wounded Highlanders. Hello, Charlie from All at Wounded Highlanders. Looking forward to attending some of the events next year and lifting the stones. Right, well, I suspect that was Jim Holborn who sent that. Thanks very much, Jim. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys. Well, in some case, seeing some of you again, because last year, obviously at the May Highland Games, some of the Wounded Highlanders were there as Help for Heroes athletes, and Prince Charles graciously awarded some trophies to the top 3 Help for Heroes athletes. I think some of which are Mark Tonner, Davy Dent, and I'm having a mental blank here. Help me out, Jim. Put the name up. It's a shocker. they all did really well, and some of them are these Wounded Highlanders, and the Wounded Highlanders are great. They're veterans who've been injured in the line of duty, and they've got together and they have a love of Highland games, which are predominantly in Scotland, although the biggest ones are actually in America. And Simon Flores, that's right, it was Simon Flores. Yeah, it was Simon Flores. So that was nice. So Prince Charles, he gave the trophies over, which was nice. And in fact, I gave Prince Charles a trophy as well to take home, which I hope is languishing somewhere in the Castle of May, which is up near John O'Groats, where Prince Charles he habitually goes to the May Games every year, as he does to Braemar as well. So basically, the main thing about this live stream is, first of all, so I can practice and I can get into the swing of it, and it becomes, dare I say it, slightly less intimidating, because I've been sitting here on my own in this cafe for an hour, wondering, making sure everything is going to be all right, making sure there's going to be no power cuts, making sure, just running through everything. But it does seem to be working great and fine. So, okay, I'm assuming that a lot of you guys know what the Ardblair Stones are about. You've probably seen footage on YouTube, seen the videos. So I thought it may be interesting if any of you got any questions or you might like to ask me about the Ardblair Stones. I'd be happy to answer them. Maybe I could talk a bit about how they started, about how the Ardblair Stones came about. And if I do see any comments come up in the comment section, I'll have a look at them and see if I can fill you in about that sort of thing, and then I'll answer your question and then jump back to my rambling dialogue. So the Ardblair Stones, they kind of started, well, they made their debut at the Blairgowrie and Rattray Highland Games in 2013. It was supposed to be 2012, but we're in Scotland, and the weather is unpredictable, and it was cancelled that year. So 2013. Now on 2012, I had everything set up. It's quite a lot of setting up for the Ardblair Stones, because there's 9 large barrels, there's all the paraphernalia, the signs, now there's gazebos. Because there's sponsorship, there's a little bit more setting up to do. It's pretty full on. It was kind of basic in the early days, and I suppose it was kind of born out of an interest in sort of strongman events like World's Strongest Man, and not normally the Atlas Stones, which were the final event. They sort of were the decider in the qualifiers. Excuse me. It was normally decided on the Atlas Stones. So there was a big deal, and also when they were being shown the Strongest Man competitions. There's normally around Christmas time or New Year, which was sort of school holidays, and I've no idea what this means. Sorry, I've got distracted. I don't know if it's in Hindi, or anyway, I shouldn't allow myself to be distracted. But hello, somebody said hello. Peter Yegarasev, I think. I don't know, possibly. But the I forgot what I was saying now. It must have been quite boring. It wasn't somebody in the comments tell me what I was saying. Oh yes, I remember. It was World's Strongest Man, Christmas, New Year. Tended to be school holidays when I was at school, and off school rather. And it was a good time of the year. It was Christmas. There was present opening. It was it was great. It was great. Everybody was on holiday. It's probably not so great for parents, mind you, but for kids, it's wonderful. And World's Strongest Man was on, and my sort of earlier sort of memories, I suppose, were there was John Paul Sigmason and Bill Kazmaier and Jeff Capes seemed to be the sort of 3 main protagonists when I was younger that I remember. But latterly, I've got a kind of good memories of the sort of battles between Magnus Samuelsson and Yuko Ahola. So yeah, its strength was a big deal. I mean, a lot of people strive to be strong and fit and able, and then why not? It's a good thing to get into. And that's kind of where the Ardblair Stones were born out of, was trying to create an event like that, but making it absolutely accessible to everybody, men, women, kids. Wounded Highlanders are a good case in point. People who are sort of struggling, they are, they haven't got all the limbs or whatever, sort of disabled, assisted. There's all sorts of different names for that. I'm never sure which is the right terminology to use, but disabled athletes, assisted athletes. And here's a comment from Wounded Highlanders. Do you take along your stones with handles to events? My son will also be tagging along next year and aiming to lift and also throw in the juniors. Who is your favourite ever stone lifter, pal? Right, the first question, do you take along your stones with handles to events? Right, well, that's thrown me a bit because the stones don't have handles. So what I do is I have a system of ramps. I have 2 trailers, and the stones travel in tyres, so they don't roll around or bash into each other. So they're quite secure in these tyres. In fact, a little dodge that I picked up on was to have sandbags in the bottom of the tyres, because sometimes when I found I was going to events, the actual stones would get almost like vacuum. It's like they would create a vacuum, and you'd be wrestling trying to get a stone out of a tyre and swinging it around. Oh yeah, sorry, I can see the comment now about okay, I'll get to that. So I put sand in the bottom of these tires, and it's a good dodge, and also it keeps the bottom of the stones off the bottom of the trailer, so they don't bang around. But because I wanted to have a system with the stones where if I had to, I could do it myself without any help. And that involves a series of ramps, and long ramps, obviously, because you don't want a really steep gradient. I mean, some of these stones are pretty heavy. I mean, they're big. And I got the system down. So, but I digress. Now, Jim from Wounded Highlanders has just commented, and he was asking me about some different stones I have that I was lifting. And they're not the Ardblair Stones. I call them the Ardblair nickel stones. And I know the answer, Jim. I don't take those stones to events. I just keep them at my home. I've really got enough organising to do with the Ardblair stones and the barrels and everything else and the signage and stuff that would just be an added extra which I could do without. And also I think it would distract a bit from the actual Ardblair Stones event themselves. And so I mean, if you want to lift them, that I'm happy with that. Get in touch and we'll make a plan. But I don't habitually take them around to Highland Games or shows or anything like that. Right, a gym tour, John's saying. I haven't got any plans to do. I think, yeah, Cat MC. Yes, he does mean the Ardblair Nichols. Yeah, I've covered that now. A gym tour. Now, I hadn't actually thought. At one stage, I thought about a gym tour, and I'd looked into it quite seriously. I thought it'd be a good thing to do, and then obviously COVID hit, and the gyms and all the gyms shutting down and everything. And I don't think there's going to be a gym tour. I think the closest to it next year, if the dates work out, will probably be the SFN Expo in Glasgow at the SEC, because, well, I suppose it's like a gym. It's undercover. It's a hard ground. It hasn't been confirmed yet. They haven't actually put the dates out for that event. Hopefully, they won't clash with anything. But no gym tour, I'm afraid. But not an official tour. I mean, if a gym got in contact and we can make plans, perhaps the dates were available. But I'm not a designated sort of gym to gym, like an inter-gym thing. I think for the moment, the gyms are going to have to come to us at the various events, which again you will see on the Ardblair Stones website, www.ardblairstones.com. Right, let's have a look at this. Next year, come to another India. Yeah, I've kind of. I'll see if I can get this pronunciation right. Abhishek. Yeah, again, love to come to India. Absolutely love to come to India, and but they're heavy things, these stones. And I would probably, I think everything would have to be put into containers, and it would just be really impractical. But I would love you guys from India. I need to. I've got so many. Well, rather, the Ardblair Stones have got so many followers in India. I need to start learning some Hindi, or at least say thank you, or hello, or goodbye, because I just don't know how it's happened. I don't know how India. It's wonderful, and it's a country I've never been to, but I'd love to go sometime. Kat, will there be T-shirts for next year's Stone tour? If there is a Stone tour, yes, there will. And I say if, I mean, there should be some events. I do, I've got 11 confirmed events for next year. And there's no reason why they shouldn't go ahead unless the COVID thing and new rules and guidelines come out. So my intention is to have T-shirts for next year. Absolutely. I feel it's a thing that I should do. And I was very close to having T-shirts printed this year. Obviously, you can see I've got my viral tour 2019 T-shirt on. Well, the irony of calling it the viral tour, you know, considering what this year's been like. But anyway, I'm going to be careful what I call next year's tour in case, you know, in case it's jinxed and something happens. But yeah, there will be T-shirts, and I guess I'll just be a different color, but essentially the same sort of idea with the name on the back and the list of the list of dates and events. So yes, Kat, that is my intention. Right, are there any other comments? Okay, I'm pretty up to speed. Oh, hang on a minute. I can scroll up and down on the comments. I know this sounds like I don't know what I'm doing, and largely I don't. So it's a learning curve here, but I'll get better at this, and I'll try and do more live broadcasts when I get into the swing of it. And talking again about the T-shirts for next year's tour, I've actually made plans to. We're going to sort of improve the online presence of the Ardblair Stones, and there's going to be an e-commerce platform. So there's going to be, I guess it'll be like a print-on-demand service. So there'll be merchandise available through the website. Now, this is supposed to be starting next week. It was supposed to be this week, and I was going to make a big thing about it. But perhaps I should have another live stream later on next week when everything's kind of up and running, and I can talk about the merchandise aspect of things, and I won't really be able to do the tour T-shirts really until the last minute, because it would be frustrating to have the T-shirts with the dates and the events on the back, and then have either some people that, well, they want to do it and I want to add them to the T-shirts, because it's great for the event. It's great for the event to be publicized on the back of the T-shirts. I'll do a quick twirl so people can see what I'm talking about. Hopefully this will work, but you can see, like, this is, see that gives you hopefully a sense of how things work on the back of the T-shirts. So I suspect it will be a last minute thing with the tour, the events. Wounded Highlanders, the Breakout Tour. Well, I've already kind of got a tour name for next year. It was supposed to be this year, but I'm calling it Stronghold Tour. But certainly, I like Breakout Tour. I think it's a good suggestion. I don't know if it's breaking out of quarantine or lockdown or or how the breakout works, but that'd be good. Axe Gaming. Hi Axe Gaming. I don't know what. Actually, I better not say what you've typed, because it's in a language which is not familiar to me, and I could be saying anything. So I should probably resist in that instance. But I'm sure it's very nice, and thank you very much for the comments. Yeah, I wonder. The comment, the followers in India is really quite. I don't know what it is. I wonder. I don't know, a sort of a culture of strength in India, or I'd be interested if somebody, if the gentleman or the people from India, I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know if Scotland and India have. I mean, Scots and people from India obviously get on and everything and great, but I can't think of a historical connection there. I don't know. It's the sort of the tartan and the Highland Games aspect, and the sort of Scottish angle, or whether it's just the pure strength related angle. I'm really not sure. But yeah, it's fascinating, really. And in America, I could sort of more understand it, because, as I say, the Highland Games out there are massive. They're huge, and they have a huge following. In fact, well, I've been to a few myself, and yeah, it's great. It's great to it's like, I suppose, it's a bit like David Hasselhoff in Germany, and his popularity out there, sort of drawing parallels between the Ardblair Stones in India. I don't get it, but it's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. Yeah, so until I see any more sort of questions come up or comments, I was talking about the origins of the Ardblair Stones. Now, one of the things is that I want to make them accessible to everybody. So, and I covered that. Now, one of the things about the Stones is that nobody uses tacky on them, or that there's no, like in strongman events, people's arms are all kind of tacked up and covered in gunge and stuff. And I can't really do that with the Ardblairs, because it's not fair. Because if somebody turns up to an event that they're at, you need to give everybody a fair chance. So things like that are out. The people who wear weight belts, that's okay. I was trying to think. There's I'm getting slightly distracted. I was thinking, like, with the Stones, and I don't know if there's that many people from India who've actually taken part in the Stones. One of the most surprising videos which you'll find on the Ardblair Stones YouTube channel is a gentleman called Ajaz from Afghanistan, and I don't think he had a particular interest, a history of strongman and strength, or gym particularly. Maybe he's well known in Afghanistan, I just didn't realize. But he's had over 7.5 million views on YouTube. It's a strange thing, because you can't really predict how popular your videos are going to be. Okay, so I've got a question here. Can adaptive athletes, okay, so adaptive is probably the terminology which is the best used. Can he use arm straps? I think, yeah, I think I'm fine with that. I'm assuming that, Jim, you're writing this on behalf of Mark. As long as there's no, like, metal or buckles coming into contact with the Stones, so there's no sort of rubbing of metal components, like things that are potentially going to damage the Stones. I don't really. I think that would be fine. I mean, I totally get in Mark's situation when he's kind of got one sort of, albeit a very strong functioning arm. I think that's reasonable. So yeah, I would say that if he wants to use arm straps, I'm assuming rather like he did on the virtual Stone tour that we did. I think that would be fine, because it seemed like the Stones weren't being wrecked or destroyed, and yeah, I'm cool with that. That would be fine. I'm always quite precious, sort of particular about the Stones, because the Stones are things which I'd like to be sort of intergenerational. So I want them to last a long time. Now, they're going to come into a certain amount of wear and tear from being moved around, and the barrels have got metal bands around them, which makes them susceptible to being knocked and damaged. So some damage is kind of unavoidable, but I want to limit it. And the reason why, it's not because I'm too lazy to make another set, it's because I'd like the set, the current one, to be intergenerational. I'd like the people's sons who have maybe done it to be able to take it on, and maybe their kids to have a shot at the Stones and know it's the same Stones that their father lifted, or even their grandfather lifted. And so with that in mind, I've always been quite particular about looking after the Stones, and even so much as, like, at the top of the barrels, there's metal bands that go around the barrels, and the very top one, sometimes that top band can be a little bit proud of the top of the barrel, which essentially then is like dropping a stone down onto it'd be like cracking an egg. It's on a sort of narrow bit of metal. It's like dunking the stone onto it. So I've obviously made lids to protect those stones. So one of the main things, and I think sometimes it drives the people who help me out on the team, but I really want to look after these things so that they last in the long term. But yeah, I think that Mark would be fine doing that. So yeah, so yeah, accessible to everybody. So I covered that, and yeah, it seems to have been a really popular thing. It seems to be a really popular thing, the Ardblair Stones, and it's free as well. And of course, anything that's free is going to be popular as well. So and it's good. It's good for the events that we go to because it is so popular. I mean, it's normally pretty full on, and it's kind of frustrating because sometimes people hold back and they don't go in, they don't join the queue, but they really should join the queue to take part if they're interested, because normally it's not unusual for people to be disappointed at the end because they haven't had a chance because it's just been so busy. But my suggestion would be, if there's a Stones event on, is to get into it, go straight into it, and yeah, and you can have as many goes as you like as well. And so if you want to improve your time or go for another stone, you can do that. It is a timed event. I mean, I have to make it timed really because there's trophies available, and my intention, as well as t-shirts and hoodies and that sort of thing on the e-commerce platform, is to I'm thinking about having like replica trophy stones. They'll be different to the actual trophies though, because I want to keep the trophy stones separate, but they'll probably just be a plain stone rather than having the first, second, and third debossed, I think is the right term, on top of the stones. So I'm looking into that as well, and I'm quite excited about it. The media platforms are going to look pretty good, I think. So it should be possible to buy things like by swiping on Instagram and Facebook, and I suppose links on YouTube, and yeah, it's going to be good. I'm not sure what the color is going to be for next year. That's something I'm about to think about. Probably not white, because I did white t-shirts. Another thing I'm involved with, which is the International Highland Games Federation Stones of Strength competition, and we couldn't do it this year because of COVID. But I think that in hindsight, having white t-shirts like the opposite, the mirror image of this, was a mistake, because they don't stay white for long when you're carrying large stones about. So I'm not sure what the color scheme will be, but we'll think of something. And again, as I said, replica trophies, but not exactly the same trophies, but something like you could use it as a paperweight or have it as a feature on a mantelpiece or something. So I don't know if anybody else has got any comments. I'm sort of rambling on here, and I'm pleased to see that everything seems to be running smoothly and no dramas to report. Does anybody want to ask? Why don't somebody ask me a question? Let's have a bit of interaction with somebody here. Who's actually listening? Who's paying attention? So I've got Jim's was the last comment. Come on, don't be shy, don't be scared. This is where I could really do with an English, an Indian to English, or a Hindi rather to English dictionary. Well, somebody from India. Come on, there's lots of people from India. What are the different? There's different not dialects as such, I suppose, but there might be different languages in India. And I've said Hindi, I think, is the main one, but I don't know if it's like China where you have Mandarin and Cantonese and different things. But it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to hear how many different languages there are in India. If anybody could tell me that, I'd be quite interested to know. The favorite music to listen to? Well, that's an interesting one, Jim. Now, I don't listen to music at all. I mean, if it's going on in the background, that's fine. But I don't have music that I religiously listen to. It's not like I would listen to heavy metal or thrash metal or blues or pop music or anything like that. I actively tried not to listen to music, because sometimes if you have a music that you listen to and it fires you up and you're passionate about, and if for whatever reason you forget a Walkman, or you forget, Walkman sounds very old, doesn't it? Your iPhone or iPad or whatever it is, or your music player, it can really sort of muck up your training and everything, because you're used to these things that you recognize and that you rely on when you're training. And I basically, it's like I want to try to do things as raw as possible, and I don't mean just raw as in not using deadlifting suits or knee wraps or straps on my hands. I mean in terms of music as well, so that I am not sort of dependent on it in a way to psych myself up. I mean, you can psych yourself up with music, obviously, and a lot of people do, and it's quite a common thing. But I just want to focus more on the lifting and the training aspect, rather than having to rely on music to kind of get me through it. I suppose music would be quite good in as much that if you know how long a tune is, like how many minutes and seconds it is, that if you use the same tune to listen to, perhaps there's certain bits that you recognize in that tune that where you should reach a certain amount of reps at this stage of the music, or you should have be on how many sets, or how many sets you should be. It's so it can use it as a guide, I suppose. But in terms of, I try not to is the answer, to listen to music. And also if you're outside or something, and like some of the lifting I like to do is not so much in the gym, but it's outside. It might be a log in the woods, or a stone in the woods, or there's something outside where it's not really practical. There's no plugs or power points or anything. So I think it's good to train with as little as that you need as possible, so you don't become dependent on it, or you think, oh, I'm not going to do a PB today because I left my music behind, or the batteries have gone dead, or I need to charge this, so it's going to shatter your performance. I think it's good to just to not do that. I suppose past I favorite music to lift to, I suppose when I was younger, was I suppose like Guns N' Roses and Metallica and stuff like that. It's probably pretty much standard sort of fare for people who are into that sort of lifting. Okay, here's a question from Florida, which is great. Hello, Florida. Thanks for joining us on this, the Ardblair Stones' first ever live broadcast. So we've got DJ Showtime. So they love watching the Ardblair Stones competitions on YouTube. Well, thank you very much for that, DJ Showtime. That's very kind of you, and appreciate your comments. And we love, the team and I love putting the competitions on. Although I sometimes I don't really think of them as competitions. I think of them more as people participating in them. There is a competitive element, I suppose, because there are trophies for the top 3 men and the top 3 women. But really, it's just about people who don't even necessarily have a background in strength training or stone lifting, just having a go and getting involved. And it's just more the sense of having taken part in a Highland Games or a show or some event. But thank you very much for that. Nice to have a Florida comment all the way from Florida. I don't know what the time is out there, but thank you for joining me. Right, my favourite manhood stone away from the Denise Stones. Right, okay, I suppose, well, it's hard to have a favourite, really. It's hard to really think about it. I mean, I've done a few. I suppose there's a few. I'll talk about 3 and then whittle it down to 1, because you put me on the spot about my favourite. So I suppose everybody's first ever one they've done means something. So the first ever manhood stone I did was a Dalwhinnie stone, and which I got to my shoulder, and that was nice. It was impromptu. I hadn't planned to do it. We were driving up to a place called Landmark, which you're probably familiar with, Jim. I'd suspect that everybody else here will probably not know where that is. Well, there'll be a few others, but I knew roughly where it was. So I wasn't in the kilt or anything, and it was spontaneous. I got out the car and did it, and so that was nice to have done that. I was quite pleased to have shouldered the Inverstone. That was quite well. It's quite a well-known one, and I think it's probably well known because of on the route it is up to Scotland. It goes past a lot of the Highland Games areas. So a lot of heavy event athletes who are used to throwing the hammer or the caber or the weight over the bar, whatever it is, it's very convenient for them to just pop into Crathie and to have a lift of it. So it's well known. It's a good chunk as well. It's 120 kilograms, and luckily it's got a good grip on it. It's quite rough, which helps with grip. And in the stone lifting or this sort of thing, grip is everything. It's really. I mean, you're dealing with smooth stones a lot of the time, which is totally incomparable to the equivalent weight on a barbell. So the Inver, I would say, is another one that I like to do just because people had heard of it and people could associate with that. And so there was kind of like a reference to the Inverstone. I would say possibly my favorite stone, just because of the historical aspect, is probably the Fianna stone. And I think it dates back to Pictish times. And I think the actual shape of the Fianna, it's a beast as well. I think it's around 127 kilograms possibly. And I think there's sort of speculation it might be the shape of like a phallus. Hopefully YouTube won't pull this video for me saying that word. I mean, it's perfectly, but I think that was what it was. And but it dates back to Pictish times. So, I mean, it's literally like 1,000 years old, and it really stands out. It's a really different stone. I think it's dolomite. And so it's a very dense stone, and it's quite dark, and it is an interesting shape. It almost looks like it's like been semi-carved, and just the history of it is fascinating. So I suspect that in terms of the historical reference, and as a challenge, I would say the Fianna stone. And the legend being that the Fianna warriors, I don't know if this is true or not, but the sort of Pictish warriors at the time, there's always rites of passage stories were supposed to have lifted this stone, and that was they were sort of qualified then into the ranks. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the story, and it's a nice one, and it's in a lovely location, Glen Lyon, Fianna stone. So yeah, if you're in Glen Lyon, seek it out. It's well worth a lift. Right, so let's have a look what else. Some Indian YouTubers, Pranav. Do you know what? I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed to say that I'm not familiar with Indian YouTubers. I would love to. And if you can recommend some, if in the comments, if you want to type in a few, if you think there's a few. Now, my Hindi or language is not great. I mean, it would be a learning curve for me. I would be struggling. But I do feel a certain, the responsibility is too strong a word, but I do feel that with all you guys and girls and everybody out in India being so supportive of the Ardblair Stones, I would certainly like to make that effort to learn more about that. So Namast. I hope that's not an obscenity that I've just said, but presumably that's a YouTuber. So, okay, that's good for now. Thank you. I will check that out. I will put that into the search engine. Okay, here's another question from Johnny Squiretube. How did you connect with Castlewater, and did Ardblair Stones get them connected doing their additional strongman sponsorships? Well, that's a good question. Johnny, yeah. Now, yeah, the Ardblair Stones, as Johnny has pointed out, is sponsored by Castlewater, the sort of main sponsor. In fact, if I just do this, you'll be careful in case I reveal too much, but there's the Castlewater there. In fact, I have a bottle of water here, which is also Castlewater logo, which I shall have some now, because I've been talking non-stop for about 45 minutes, and the time is really flying. So hang on. Okay, now I live near a small village called Blairgowrie, and Castle Water, which obviously, Johnny, I guess you're familiar with. Their main office, there's two offices, and one of the main ones is in Blairgowrie. And in terms of, they're the biggest employer in Blairgowrie. So I'm familiar with Castle Water as an entity. You always see the employees and everything walking around the town and everything. And the connection with Castle Water was because I was doing events at the Blairgowrie and Rattray Highland Games, and it wasn't just the Ardblair Stones. I was organising a Stones of Strength competition. So there was log pressing going on. There was Husafell stone carrying going on, not the Husafell stone, but that style. There was the Ardblair Stones was part of it, and so I had all these events going on, and I just basically wanted to get some T-shirts. I wanted to get some T-shirts for those events to sort of, because I thought all the athletes, at least all the people taking part, should have a T-shirt. I mean, it's only fair. And in some instances at strongman competitions, I think people are expected to buy their own T-shirts as part of an entry fee, but I didn't really want to do that. I just wanted to kind of approach different businesses in Blairgowrie and see if they would be interested. And there was 3 businesses that I approached, and one of them was Castle Water, one of them was Balmoral Garage, who do Ford dealership, and Wood Leisure, who have sort of big country parks, but that's like for accommodation and static caravans and things like that. So I approached all 3 of them, and they were all very helpful, and they said yes, we'd be very happy to contribute towards the T-shirts, and I had their logos on the T-shirts. So the CEO of Castle Water also near Blairgowrie, who I know, and well, I've kind of pretty much sort of met him through the Stones events, and he's quite enthusiastic on sort of strength, and I guess any people bettering themselves or trying to improve themselves, and the fact it's all inclusive as well, and that men, women, kids, and everything, and it's like a community thing. I mean, the Facebook page is a community page. I never really set it up as a business or anything like that. It was really more of a people getting together, and as long as I didn't lose any money on the thing, then I was quite happy. And but Castle Water did approach me after it was really successful at the Blairgowrie and Rattray Highland Games. They saw their T-shirts, and I handed the extra ones, which I gave to the staff at these various businesses, and was very appreciative and everything. And I think they thought it was a success, and it got a decent amount of coverage in the press. And I was given a phone call. It was like one of these dreams come true situations where I got a phone call, and I was asked if the Ardblair Stones would be interested in a wider sponsorship, and that's literally the terminology that was used. So it kind of meant that I could then do a lot more events. I could go beyond my hometown and then go as far up north as the north of Scotland to the May Highland Games, or we were supposed to be going to the Royal Welsh Agricultural Show this year, but obviously COVID scuppered that. So I mean, we were going to be spanning a lot of Britain, and Castle Water kind of made that possible. And so I guess from there, I was talking to the CEO of Castle Water, and we were talking about stones and everything. And in fact, it was through Castle Water's help we came up with these logos and things, these designs, that one there and this one, and they were really helpful. You know, even down to like what colours work with other colours and things like that. And it was great. You know, I was sitting in these meetings with the marketing people of Castle Water, and they were really accommodating, and it was great. You know, it was almost like it's like sort of fairy tale in a way, knowing that somebody with so much interest in that genre of strength and athleticism, or strength, I guess more specifically, was kind of keen on this sort of thing. So, oh, thanks, Pranav. He's off for another live stream. That's very kind of you. I'll catch you at the next one. I think I'm getting my hang around these. So anyway, the topic, we're talking about Luke and Tom Stoltman, how great it would be to have them taking part in the Ardblair Stones, and I suspect, though I don't know for sure, perhaps maybe with the conversations I was having with the CEO representatives, with the CEO rather, that he got Tom and Luke on board. So they became sponsored by Castle Water. And Tom Stoltman is probably the best stone lifter in the world at the moment, certainly at like the Atlas, like circular stones. And so suddenly he was sponsored too, and the Ardblair Stones were sponsored. So it was a great pairing, it was great. And then obviously there's Giants Live. Now I was at school with a guy called Colin Bryce, who was one of the directors of Giants Live. He was a bit older than me, and I've seen him a few times, and he's been quite good. He's invited me down to some shows and things like that. And I guess Colin, well, it'd be Darren Sadler, I think it was, who chatted to Castle Water. I'd like to think I had some hand in it a bit, but so that seemed to work really well. And I don't know what arrangement Giants Live made with Castle Water or how that operates, but I'm really pleased that it's worked out, and it's raised the profile of the Ardblair Stones, hopefully, and Castle Water as well. And as I say, I'm really supportive of Castle Water, and we actually use Castle Water in a business sense anyway. I mean, I mean, it's not as if I'm sitting here trying to promote a sponsor, which I don't believe in, and just helping out. I genuinely believe in what they do, and we use them in a business. I mean, we have a business which is not the Ardblair Stones, and we've saved money with them. So I really, and they're healthy. That it's water. It's good. It's life-giving stuff. It's something I feel comfortable having as a sponsor, and the fact that they're such a huge company, and I'm just fortunate that one of their main offices is based in Blairgowrie. So thanks, Castle Water. Right, that was quite an in-depth covering there, Johnny. Hopefully you're still there to listen to it. Right, will I be attending 150th Sterling Games? I don't think Sterling Games is on the list for next year. I don't remember it is. Yeah, do check out the website. I don't think that's among them. I know that you guys are going there. It'd be nice to see you, but I haven't really chatted to the powers that be at Sterling, so I don't know about that really. Mohammed Hossinpur, hi, how are you? That's very kind. Thanks for your comment. And I wonder where you're from. Where are you from? Are you another gentleman from India? Possibly, I don't know. But yeah, I'm trying to think what else I should be covering. So the Castle Water, I covered that. Yeah, do you know what? I've almost reached an hour on the live stream now. So that's longer than I was expecting. I thought maybe between half an hour and an hour, and I thought I'd run out of steam. Yeah, I have some Colin Bryce School stories, Johnny Squire Tube. I probably shouldn't tell them. I don't. I get on with Colin, and I'd like to keep it that way, No, I'm only joking. No, Colin, he was a bit older than me at school, so we weren't in the same year or anything. I don't even know if Colin was really aware of me at school, quite honestly. But I don't know. The thing about school is you tend to remember people, I think, that were older than you rather than were younger than you. But I'm sure somebody else could fill you in on any Colin school stories. I like Colin; he's great, and I like his family. And I saw him not that long ago. He came to visit me actually, and I guess we've got a lot in common. Although we didn't realize when we were at school together probably just how much we had in common. And I wish him all the best. And it can't be easy for him at the moment with what's going on with COVID and World's Strongest Man qualifiers. So it must be tough for him at the moment. But I've got a lot of time for him, and tempting as it may be, I shall resist the urge to start telling tales literally out of school. Right. See you, Jim. Nice chatting. Thanks for your comments. And I'm looking forward to seeing the Wounded Highlanders, I hope, next year. And I suppose really I should think about winding up this. I suppose I'm so close to 1 hour live. Maybe I should just. Any more questions? Any last comments? Anybody likes me to any reply to anything? If not, I think I will call it quits and plan my next live stream. So I will see you later. I'll do a countdown. DJ Showtime. Yes, 1. Okay, I'm not sure what that means. And Erebus Khan, yo. I'm not sure what that means either. That's right. I'll tell you what. I'm going to do a countdown from 10, and then I'll sign off, unless some amazing comment comes through. In which case, I will stay on and answer that comment. So here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Are you going to take this worldwide? DJ Showtime, you got it this time. I would like to take it worldwide. I really think it would be a great thing. It's just not practical. It's not practical because the weight of these things. I mean, the Ardblair Stones, and then they're not other stones. So I suppose the easiest thing would be to make them, create them somewhere else, so you don't have to move them across. But I'd like to keep the Ardblair Stones as the Ardblair Stones, so they're intergenerational, that the same people in 100 years will lift exactly the same stones as this time. Okay, how much does the heaviest stone weigh? The heaviest one is 152 kilograms, which is 335 pounds. Now, that's without using tacky or any grip aids of any sort. You can use chalk if you want, and that stone is 20 inches in diameter. So a 20-inch stone with no tacky, with possibly just using chalk, and they're pretty smooth, is a very tall order, because in the World's Strongest Man competitions and indeed strongman events, they're usually, as I said earlier in the video, covered in tacky, so there's a lot more grip, and so it's much easier to lift the stones. Right, I think I'll call it quits. And thank you to all the people that tuned in. It's been great reading your comments. I think I'd like to do another one of these. I think that it's been good fun. And one last thing, Erebus Khan. I have poorly made Atlas stones incredibly slippery, but when I'm presented with finely made stones, they're a lot easier. I think I can do the Ardblair Stones. Well, I mean, great, Erebus. Check out. I don't know where you're based. I don't know what country you're in, but I'd love to see you having a go at the Ardblair Stones. It's a free event. Come to Scotland sometime. Hopefully, with the COVID regulations and rules and things, it will be a bit more easier and accessible to do some of these events. But I would be delighted, Erebus. I would say, yes, of course, I would say the Ardblair Stones are made well. So I made them. So, right. Okay, Ray G, heavy, but I was thinking it would be more. No, they catch a lot of people out, Ray. It does it, and then don't forget you've got the other 8 stones before that as well. So it's kind of like a build-up. The one before it's 135 kilograms, and then so on and so forth. So there's 9 of these things. So it does take a little bit of stamina as well as strength. Right, I'm going to sign out now. So again, thank you very much for Erebus. You'll just have to beat Tom's time. Absolutely, that'll take some beating. The next natural goal is under 20 seconds. That is the next target, and obviously a woman lifting the. So we can get those 2 done next year. That'll be 2 firsts, and I'm looking forward to that happening. Right, thank you so much for joining me. It's been great. I've enjoyed myself, and I will have a plan for the next show. So again, please like the channel and subscribe. If you can subscribe to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. It'd be really a great help. And thank you so much and for watching. Okay, have a great weekend, guys and girls. Cheers. Bye.